Welcome to Roughing It with Ruth, the channel where everything is a bit rough around the edges. In this video, I'm going to show you all of the gear and clothing that I am packing to hike the Drakensberg Grand Traverse in South Africa. It is a wilderness trail with no huts, you have to camp, and there's also no trail for most of it. And we are going to be doing it in 12 and a half, 13 days. So I really needed to try and go as lightweight as possible in order to carry all of the food weight. We are going to be having a resupply day halfway through, so I only have to carry 6 days of food at a time, but that still adds up to quite a lot. So let's take a look at all of the equipment that I'm taking with me. So laid out here on the table is all of the stuff that I am taking with. And we'll start over on this end with the backpack that all of it goes into. This is a Freedom Ultralight backpack. It is the Oryx backpack. It is about 48 liters. I do have to pack pretty carefully to get everything to fit inside of here, but it does have this really big stretch pocket on the back, which does help a lot with fitting things in. I am going to be using trekking poles. These are the K-Way trekking poles, but these particular type of trekking poles, I think they say Thyssen on the little straps over here. These particular type are often rebranded as all sorts of different brands of trekking poles. So you can find them just about anywhere. They're just aluminium, I think, and they weigh 158 grams. I have some duct tape wrapped around the one as part of my repair kit. And then the rest of my repair kit is inside of my first aid kit. So that's all of the things over here. I just put them inside of a Ziploc packet. I've got some gloves, I've got a space blanket, a couple of alcohol swabs, some plasters of various sizes. I've got some burn shield and a little bit of gauze to go with that in case of burns. I've got various bits of medication in this and this packet. I've got a little bit of strapping tape that is sticky that you can use to strap ankles or knees or stick things on. I've got one crepe bandage. Then I've got the little TPU repair kit that came with my camping mattress that I will show you just now. I've got an emergency lighter inside of a Ziploc bag. I've got a super minimalist sewing kit. Maybe I must actually open this up so you can see what is inside here. I actually just got this from, I can't remember if it was a hotel or an airplane. It must have been a hotel because they wouldn't have allowed needles on an airplane. But there's just 2 buttons, 2 needles, and then a little bit of thread. And it's also very, very nice and light. Then I've got one spare shoelace because my shoes do have laces. I've got this really tiny little Victorinox multi-tool that has a knife and some scissors and a pair of tweezers and a toothpick on it. I've got 2 small cable ties. Then I've got this repair sheet from Montbell. This repair sheet is really versatile. It can repair tent fly sheets, rain jackets, puffy jackets, you name it. While we hike in the Drakensberg, we are going to be crossing over into Lesotho, so I do also have my passport. Over here we have all of my electronics. I've got quite a few cables. I've got one watch charging cable, then I've got 2 micro USB and 2 USB-C cables. I have in the past had issues with cables that stop working, so I always carry some redundancy except for my watch charging cable because it's one of those Garmin proprietary things and they're quite expensive, so I just assume that if I pay that much money it's not going to break. Then I have a very small headlamp. This is the Black Diamond Flare and it works on watch batteries. So I've also got 2 spare watch batteries. This is just a 5 Rand coin and it is to open up this headlamp because you have to put something in there in order to turn it. And I have tried various methods of getting the headlamp open and you definitely do need a coin. Then because I'm wanting to film so much on this trip, I actually have 2 20,000 milliamp hour power banks. One is an Anker one and one is a Samsung one. And that is definitely very heavy. That is a luxury if you are trying to film a lot. I'm hoping that that is going to be enough. I did consider taking solar panels, but they were pretty heavy as well. And the ones that I have do not charge the power bank fully. It would give a little bit of charge, but not a full charge. So I had to kind of make the decision whether I wanted to bring one power bank and the solar panels, or whether I wanted to bring 2 power banks. And in the end, I decided to go with 2 power banks. And then in addition to those 2 power banks, I have this little guy, which is the Photix light, but it is also a 4,000 milliamp hour power bank. So this is kind of a luxury item for me. It is just a light. Where's the switch? Let me turn it on. So it just makes a very nice diffuse light, which is really nice for filming at night. And I particularly like using this with my tent because the tent has a pocket up at the top. It's basically like having an overhead light. So I really enjoy using this. Plus it gives me a little bit of redundancy in terms of power for my electronics. Then moving on to all of the clothing items. This is a very lightweight base layer for my top from Uniqlo. This is one of the Heat Tech brands of shirts, fairly lightweight and also very warm. This is a First Ascent fleece pullover. It's the lightest fleece that I own, so I took that. These two will be worn on top of each other for extra warmth. And then another warm layer is this Uniqlo puffy jacket. It's not the warmest puffy jacket out there, but I'm hoping in conjunction with these guys, it'll be okay. And then I have this, which is a Montbell down blanket. It's the medium size one. And this one is actually to be worn as a skirt on my legs. So this will be my camp clothing on my lower half of my body at camp. And I'm not bringing any kind of pants or base layers for my legs. I'm just going to be using this. Then the other clothing that I'm taking is 1 pair of Darn Tough socks for at camp, 1 pair of Belega socks, which is my spare set of hiking socks, a set of Salomon convertible gloves. They don't make these anymore. I wish they did. They're really lovely. And this is just a buff for at night or to rotate with the other buff that I'll be wearing. And then 1 pair of extra underpants and 1 extra bra. And that all goes into this little waterproof bag just to keep it consolidated. I actually might change out this waterproof bag for a Ziploc because it will be lighter. And coming back over to this side of the table, because we kind of skipped my shelter, this is the Sea to Summit Tyvek ground sheet that is actually for the Escapist system, but it's the lightest ground sheet that I have. So I'm taking this as an additional ground sheet for the Durston X-Mid 1-person tent. This tent pitches using my trekking poles, and the pegs are already inside this tent. I have actually made a couple of modifications to this tent, not major things, just added on a couple of things. If you want me to make a video about that, then let me know in the comments, and I will get right on that as soon as I'm back from this trip. Then moving on to toiletries. I have a couple of spare bags. This is a spare plastic shopping bag, a spare medium-sized Ziploc, and a spare large-sized Ziploc. I do find Ziplocs quite useful. And then underneath, I just have a Ziploc with a whole bunch of menstrual pads, because unfortunately, when you're going on such a long trip, you kind of can't really avoid your period if you are having one. Then this is my toothpaste. It's little toothpaste tabs that you bite and chew, and this is my toothbrush. These are bits of floss that I've just pre-dispensed for every single evening. This is the Sea to Summit Wilderness Wash, which is sort of little leaves of soap. So there's little individually packaged leaves of soap here. And I find that these leaves of soap work best with a sponge. So I have a sponge in its own little Ziploc just to stop it from making everything else wet. This has all of my multivitamins and immune boost tablets that I just take normally anyway every day. And this is a little tub of anti-chafe cream. It's actually not the Squirt Barrier Balm. I'm just reusing the tub. I have some Honey Guide beeswax ointment in here. I've found that that is by far the best anti-chafe cream, and you can also use it for a ton of other stuff. You can put it on wounds, you can put it on your lips. It is very versatile as well. Then for my sleep system, I have a pillow. This pillowcase is actually some generic Chinese brand's inflatable pillow, but the inflatable pillow that came with this pillowcase actually sprung a leak. So the inflatable pillow that is in here now is the Sea to Summit Eros large pillow. And I just put it inside here because this pillowcase has a pillow strap, which I really, really like. And normally it would be fine to just use the Eros pillow on its own, but I'm not using it with the Sea to Summit pad, which has little Velcro thingies on it. I'm using it with a Nature Hike inflatable pad because this one is lighter weight. This is a very new purchase for me, so I have tested it out. I have slept on it a couple of nights and it seems comfortable and warm, so hopefully it will all be fine. I think the weight savings are definitely worth it. Underneath the inflatable pad, I just have the pack liner. I think it's one of those Polycro bags. I've had this one for ages, but it's very nice. It lines your whole backpack. It's like a gigantic dustbin bag. And then for my sleeping bag, I'm using the Sea to Summit Spark 2. I don't think they make these exact ones anymore. They've kind of like updated the Sea to Summit Spark sleeping bag range. But this one I find warm enough and it's extremely lightweight, which I love. I do normally combine this sleeping bag with something like that Montbell down blanket that I wear on my legs at camp. That just adds an extra layer of insulation when I'm inside the sleeping bag. Then for my poop kit, I have some toilet paper, obviously, in a Ziploc bag. I've got my little trowel, some UST trowel. It was the only one that I could find in South Africa that was reasonably lightweight. And then I have a cooler cloth that my friend Stephanie brought back for me from the States, which I'm incredibly grateful for. I love this thing. Over here I have all of my water carrying items. I have this bottle from Muji, which I'm going to use to mix up electrolyte drink mixes or recovery drink mixes. This is a Salomon soft flask that actually has a filter built into the lid, and I can also pull off this bite valve at the top and use it as a sort of squeeze bag and squeeze water out of this into other bottles if the water is not looking great. A lot of it is fine up at the top, but you never know. And then if I do need to carry a bit more water right for when we're camping, or if it happens to be super dry, I do have this extra Platypus 2-liter water bag that I can put extra water in. And I've got a Ziploc bag to put my rubbish in. This is my absolute favorite rain gear. And I debated long and hard about what rain gear to take because obviously this is quite bulky and quite heavy. However, this is a poncho that goes over both you and the backpack, and it has arms, so it's not just one of those square ponchos that flaps all over the place. And it's fairly large on me, so it hangs all the way down to my knees. And what I find when I wear this is that I don't need to wear rain pants because it covers so much of my body. It's basically like having your own portable tent while you're walking, and you can pull your head back inside of it like a turtle and have your lunch inside of it, or go to the toilet under it, use it as a privacy shield while you're changing clothes. It is really just so useful. So I'm going to be taking this one. If you've watched some of my videos in the past, you'll know that I have had some skin cancer issues. So I'm extremely serious about sun protection now. I am also going to be wearing a hat, but this is for the entire 13 days, making sure that I don't have to ration it. I can spray as much sunscreen on myself as I want. Then the last thing on this table is my cook kit. I am using the Fire Maple petrol pot that has the little heat exchanger on it, and it's got this transparent lid on the top. And then obviously a gas canister, which is going to connect not to the Fire Maple stove, but to the Soto Windmaster. These are the little feet that clip onto the stove, and that will then go on the gas canister, and the pot will go on top of that. I've got a Sea to Summit plastic spoon. I find a spoon actually works much better for me than a spork. And then I've got this incredibly cheap plastic cup from Pep stores in South Africa, which is far lighter than any of my titanium cups, so I'm going to be taking that. And then this thing underneath is the Snap Fold bowl, which can be a plate, or you can clip the little clips together and it turns into a bowl. If you thought we were done, then you would be wrong. I do also carry an additional Fanny pack, mostly for my camera gear. So this camera that I'm holding right now with its little tripod goes inside of that bag. I also have the DJI microphone case, my GoPro, my cell phone, lip ice, a pen, my sunglasses, some extra batteries, the InReach Mini, and a couple of lens wipes, as well as a Ziploc bag to keep everything dry. Okay, so I have packed up all of the stuff that was on the table into this backpack. I've just kind of thrown it all in there willy-nilly. This is now the weight of all of my gear and clothing without food, but I do have the gas in here. I do not have the extra camera equipment that I carry in my fanny pack in this bag. I don't normally weigh that in addition to my bag, so let's see how much this weighs. 7.7. My food, just for reference, weighs about 4 kilograms, so the entire bag with food is going to be about 11.7 kilograms, and with food and a liter of water it's going to be about 12.7 kilograms. So I think I am just at the sweet spot where I'm at the limit of what I am able to carry comfortably without really feeling like I am dragging an anvil with me on the trail. If you've spotted somewhere where I can save a little bit of weight, or if you're confused about one of the items, or if you think I might have left something out that I'm going to need, then please tell me in the comments, because I would love to know about that. Unfortunately, the time when this video is published, I will actually be on the trip that I'm packing this bag for, so I probably won't be able to implement any of your suggestions, but I will be able to tell you when I get back whether you were right or wrong about things that I may have forgotten or places where I could have saved weight. So hopefully the trip is going to go off without a hitch, and I will definitely be making videos about the Drakensberg Grand Traverse as soon as I get back. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through, all the way to the end. If you would like to see more videos that I've made, then please go and check out my channel. I have many videos, some gear reviews on some of the items that you might have seen in this video, as well as a whole lot of trip reports from various places that I have visited. So please go and check that out, and I will hopefully see you when I'm back from the Grand Traverse with a whole lot more adventures.